Welcome to another episode of We Escalate. I am the producer and co-host, Victor Escalante. I have in the studio my business partner, Vicky Cruz. Vicky, welcome to We Escalate.
Hey, Victor. Hey, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Fabulous.
Today, we're going to talk about the HERO program, and we're actually going to give you tips and pointers. If you're a parent of a child, this is going to help you to understand principles, values, and strategies that you can use to be able to help your child. In We Escalate, we focus on education. We have all kinds of education training programs for school systems, for agencies, for aftercare. And my business partner and I have been doing our signature program, the HERO program, currently in an aftercare facility. So, Vicky, why don't you go ahead and start us by telling us what the acronym HERO stands for?
Well, HERO, thank you so much, Victor, stands for helpful, encouraging, respectful, and on task. It's an impeccable leadership class that draws in values into the home, most importantly, into the child.
Now, tell us the history of how this came about, how you developed a proprietary system during COVID to really impact children's lives.
So during COVID, Victor, I was working at an elementary school, local elementary school, where during COVID, the school system could not allow parents, partners, and programs into the school. We were in a severe lockdown in the protection of the children and staff and what have you. So it was just a really rough period. I mean, kids were covered up with masks and sanitizers and, depression, oppression, and very much in a state of fear, a state of just confusion and despair, children losing grandparents, children afraid of the unknown of what was going to happen. I mean, we've even had it was just no activities in the school. So that's how it wrote.
So the purpose of the program, if I understand you correctly, was to create a curriculum for children that would be fun, it would be engaging, it would be somewhat entertaining, but more importantly, they would be learning the real value system that they were missing to be able to cope with the conditions of COVID. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And so, being in the school district for the short time, I'm hoping to get back in there. But the time that I was in the school district, Victor, I noticed a gap. As you know, my background has been in the corporate environment where solutions was my main objective in every situation, being in human resources. And so it was a huge
You and
shift.
I are problem-solving machines.
Exactly.
Turn us on an organization and we will re-engineer it and come up with systems and processes.
Exactly. Systems, process, how do you audit, compliance, efficiency, save money, cost. If you're looking for any of that, that is us.
Exactly.
Well, behold, I would say in 2018, I just kind of laid everything down. I said, okay, where do I go? What's next? I took a trip, came back. I wasn't worried. And behold, I got a call into the school district. And I was like, whoa. Just shocked to see how the lack of parent engagement did not exist. There was no parent engagement, and you see the stress brought onto the teachers because there's constant changes. Their curriculums, policies, testing. I mean, just the change and the stressors that the teachers had. It was unbearable sometimes.
So let's go ahead and do a deep dive into HERO. So the first element is helpful. Tell us how you got the children to really integrate being helpful in different environments, and go ahead and tell us all the environments that being helpful
encompasses. So training has always been my background. And when I was in the school district, I said, you know what, I'm going to have to work extra harder. I had my own work and I'm a bridge. In the school system, we have a position called wraparound, and as you know, I've done wraparound prior before wraparound was wraparound in
Right.
school districts. And so I said, okay, let's be creative and innovative. You can't bring the volunteers in, and you can't bring programs in. You can't bring the parents. You're going to have to do something unique. So I saw 400 little hands inside that school, and I said, why not? Let's create something that's going to be robust, that's going to excite the children, ignite the children, and also be a bridge for everything we needed. So I said, we are going to we're gonna create heroes. I had my room was already superhero, and the year prior I was working with parents, and we were just taking the room into a comic level.
Okay.
Just hero academy, and I wanted to have.
You're talking about gamifying a lot of the processes, right? Turning it
Yes.
into something fun, something that is memorable.
Absolutely. And so during the time, as I mentioned, I couldn't. So I said, you know what? We're going to just go ahead and launch this program where it incentivizes the children to work hard. I taught them about being helpful, not just at home, but in the school.
Now, why do parents need to really, really do this at home with their children?
Oh my goodness, get them away from the TV for sure. But it's just really to engage them and teach them initiative. It's a huge, it creates a place of connectedness, right? Where children can engage and feel purpose and, connected to families, connected to the home and feel accomplished.
Yes.
Being helpful is a way where children and parents, and not just children and parents, but children, they like that.
Yeah, scrolling through a phone or through a notepad is not going to do anything to build up their self-esteem. If anything, it's going to demoralize them because they're going to see all kinds of stuff that they don't have. So being able to feel this sense of accomplishment as a result of doing something that is helpful at home and being praised for that or being rewarded only reinforces the fact that it's good to be helpful.
Absolutely, and it basically draws in character and values, and so the children learn to be helpful inside the classroom. I mean, they love it. I mean, who doesn't want to help their teacher, right?
Right.
So it was just amazing. The teachers at that time supported the initiative. So once a month, those that were identified as a hero would come to the room, right? And of course, it was limited. It was very just limited to 12 students.
Okay.
And at that time, we had students that were virtual.
Wow.
Students that were virtual. We had partners that were donating gifts every month. So we had a little gadget closet. And so my kids were helpful by maintaining the pantry. I had a pantry as wraparound that included school supplies and clothes and people donating or the community donating food.
You even got Mattress Mac involved, didn't you?
Oh yeah, Mattress Mac has been a blessing, and so yeah, and he's going to continue. I'm sure as we launch, we're working now with amazing partners. So if you're listening to this, please reach out to me. We need you. We need support in finding these grants to help ignite this program to get it around the country.
We'll have your contact information in the show notes. So, Vicky, these kids were little helpful machines. They were helping in the classroom, and the teachers were keeping score. They had a score system for all of the trades so that they would get rewards. Is that correct? Or to spend a certain time in the hero room?
Oh yeah. So I mean, whether I was working with the coach, or sometimes if I needed to just pull on, the students would come knocking, at the door asking if they could help. Only
Yeah.
and so they yes, they could if their work was done and
Yeah.
permission was granted. But for the most part, it was a program that was launched during recess.
Okay.
So if the principal, if the coach needed he would walk by and just say, "Do you need any students?" I'm like, "Yes, give me 5 now, give me 8 now," or whatever it was.
Okay.
And the students did everything.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Was grateful for that. Thank God. They were like, managing, organizing, delivering. They just wanted to just help.
So think to the class that we currently have going on and some of the ideas that are coming out from the children. We have about 15 little children, starting around age, what, 4 or 5?
4, yeah, 4.
4 up to about, 12? 12, okay. So what are some of the tasks that children are on their own saying what they can do at home to be helpful?
Oh my goodness, they're the cutest now. When we spoke to them and interviewed them this past week, they talked about initiative, taking the initiative, and I was so proud of them. They said, "You know what? We're just doing it. We don't want to be told anymore."
Yeah,
I said,
I remember the one that said, "I cleaned my room without being told."
"Yeah, little Mr. K."
Yeah, and he was pretty proud of that.
He was so proud, and we had a couple that were like, "I'm helping mom to cook." Where they're helping to go feed dogs, and it was like just this initiative. I think everyone was kind of like, it was a challenge to them. Like,
it is totally.
Yeah,
and whenever you challenge kids in a group setting, they have to up their game because that's a psychological phenomena that happens whenever you challenge children in a group setting.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at one of the notes from Mrs. K that's here. She says, "I helped my mom with laundry, wash the dishes. I helped with my little siblings. I helped my mom make food and take out the trash, pick out her outfit and accessories."
Wow.
So how sweet is that? She's dressing her mom now rather than the mom dressing her.
Wow.
And it was like, I remind my mom to pay her phone bill. So I remind my dad to call us every day. And I help my big sister
We're
walk.
going to have parents calling to complain
I
on
know.
how they got their parents working.
Yes. And we just got a phone call, Victor, to help another school with 900 kids.
Wow.
Can you 900 students?
Wow.
I'm like, we are going to have leadership branded all over the city. I can't wait.
Now, so practical advice for parents. What can they do in the area of teaching children to be helpful?
Pay attention to their children.
Yes.
Find their talents. Find their uniqueness. Praise the children. Get them involved in taking part of what's happening at home and push them to do things in the community. To learn how to give back and to be helpful in the community or at school, and be the bridge at school with your teachers and ensuring that your child learns initiative. This will go a long way as they grow older into their professional life.
Yeah. I remember one case that I had years ago, Vicky. My client was a billionaire, okay, with a B. And his teenage son was acting up and got kicked out of school. I think he got caught smoking. And so my client came to me and says, "I don't know what to do, Victor. It's like, this is a spoiled kid that we've given him everything." And that was the problem, is he was spoiled. So I said, "Well, what do you think would be helpful in order to really instill the sense of responsibility?" And I told him the story about the son of Mahatma Gandhi. And we don't have time for that story, but the lesson in that story is that the father had confessed to the son when the son had made a serious mistake that he had failed him. The father had failed the son. And so he was going to ponder as he walked for miles where he went wrong. Okay? That story affected him to the point that he says, "I'm going to take 2 weeks off. I'm going to clear my calendar, and I'm going to take my son, and we're going to go chop trees and clear the land out in his big ranch."
Wow.
He says, "We're going to clear mesquite trees, and we're going to do lots of hard labor, and I'm going to spend time together with him." That kid completely turned around. He says, my client says, as a byproduct, he says, "I was out there sweating and just getting lots of exercise." He says that I even told my doctor to cut back on the medication because my client was on medication for anxiety and for depression. And so that was really a life transforming experience for him. And again, the principle is, had he taught his kids to be helpful as little children, that wouldn't have had to happen as a teenager.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, it's a huge, it's a huge experience for one's life, to do that. One of the things that I wanted to share with you is that touched my heart with this child, Mrs. K, or little K. She said that she was helpful at school because we do assess their responses. And what saddened me is, she said that she had to defend her friends from bullies and help kids in her class with work, and which brought just the more reason why we need to have a program such as Hero, because week 2 we talked about being encouragers.
Right.
Yeah.
And being encouraging to themselves.
That's right.
The children learn that they matter, and at times when there's no one to encourage you, you got to do it for yourself. You matter. And so that was really quite an experience to see these little kids come up with all kinds of creative ideas on what they can do to encourage themselves whenever they're having a bad day. Because again, being a kid, it's a tough life.
It is. And, I think that having Hero is a positive reinforcement. And it's not so much emphasizing on bullying, but if we can turn the hearts of our children to having empathy and being encouragers, can you imagine how much better this world would be?
Yeah, remember the advice that you gave to that little child when they brought up bullying? It's like, maybe that person needs encouraging. Maybe the bullying person is not feeling good, and maybe they need encouraging, or they need encouragement not to do the bad thing, okay?
That's right.
So being a positive influence as opposed to just fighting fire with fire.
Absolutely. And do you remember what we had the one student say? And I would even like to just, as we talk, just kind of even share the video in itself as to what his response was. It's a little 10 seconds.
How do you encourage yourself?
I don't say negative things, and I say positive things to myself.
Yeah, imagine.
How much is that? Imagine not even grown people can think of
Yeah,
that.
that's about a 5-year-old child.
Who said simple words like, I don't speak negative about myself. I speak positive. Imagine, Victor, if the world would do that, because we know that only hurt people, right?
Yes.
And so when these bullies don't have that opportunity to be encouraged, and they will not know how to encourage if they're not encouraged themselves. And that's what these kids were saying. They're like, listen, we've got to be encouraged, and that's what we talked about, right? Is how do you encourage yourself? And that was a response that we got was, I just don't speak negative.
Yeah. And so they came out of this class encouraging their coach, Coach Raul.
Oh my goodness. They encouraged Coach Raul, but they encouraged me.
Yeah.
Miss Little K, I said, well, who are you coloring this for? And she said, it's for you. And I'm like, I am not going to say anything. I'm going to take this and put it on. You
wanted to adopt her and put her in your will.
I did. I told her. I was like, you know what? You are coming home. I am going to sit here and just add you to my little... to my will. Absolutely. Her inheritance, I'm going to give her some of it. Oh, like, she's just the cutest little bee. Like, she just, precious.
Yeah. All right. So we got 2 letters out of the acronym of HERO. Helpful, encouraging, and respectful. Talk about respectful.
Okay. So respectful, again, the main component. I mean, self-encouragement and how to ask for help. If we're just going to go back really quick, let me just say that we taught the children how to ask for help and what areas that they need help with. And the same thing with self-encouragement. Victor, I want to point something out while we're talking about self-encouragement. When I was in the school district, it really broke my heart to hear one of the children, as we were talking about encouragement, he talked about a 4th grader, keep in mind, committing a suicide.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he literally talked about how much he needed self encouragement, to the point to where he had thought about, committing such act of suicide. So that's really what pushes me over the edge now, because we know that this hero program is really saving lives.
Oh, yeah. And that agency that we're getting ready to do work with, these are children that are coming from broken homes.
Yes.
Children that they've been abused in different families in all kinds of ways. And so there we got our work cut out in really helping them and encouraging them. And, in meeting with the principal, or the director of the agency, I found it quite interesting that she says, if we focus on the hurt, if we focus on the abuse, the brokenness, she said, nothing's going to change. We can talk about that. We can try to work on that and try to heal that to the end of time, but nothing is going to change. And, that's a principle that is based on positive psychology, is you focus on the positive and what can be done rather than focusing on the pathology, on the dysfunction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, yes, she talked about that. And I think that it's so important because, again, it's part of the forgiving, right? It's a cycle of life,
Right,
in which our children must be taught, and to take away that sense of self pride, or the sense of self entitlement, right? And it takes it away, knowing and giving them a sense of empathy,
right,
sharing, caring, loving. That's what we're designed for. It's to love one another, right? Many of us carry on different faith. My own personal faith, Victor, is knowing that I have a higher power, and I give that higher power my all, and then I'm required to give it to myself and give it to others. And giving it to others is so important, that we're taught. I mean, we did talk to this director, in which we're going into, guys. I know you're probably saying, where is this coming from? Well, this week, Victor and I had a conversation with a local organization that's going to foster the emotional and behavioral care, aftercare for a home for children, mothers and children. And more information will come out, or feel free to follow this organization, Mission One USA, on Facebook to see the work that we'll be doing there in March. But going back, she did talk about these children being so desensitized.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
That was pretty scary.
Very scary.
How one young child showed her a video of a killing, an actual killing of a human being. And the child viewed it as though it was like a video game. The child had no concept, no empathy whatsoever that person is never going to go home to their family.
Yes.
So she took the time to ask the child, do you realize what you just showed me? It's like, I don't even want to see that, and you shouldn't want to see that either, because that's a person, that's a live human being that their families no longer be able to see them, to hold them, to be loved by them, and to love on them. So it's just amazing how children are desensitized nowadays to witness violence like that is at the extreme, and not feel any empathy.
Heartbreaking. Is definitely heartbreaking. And parents, we encourage you, okay, to please watch your children, see what they're doing. I mean, these video games are out of hand, social media. I mean, I was just appalled to know that they're showing those kind of videos, and children are just watching. I mean, they're seeing, their eyes are open, and and
you cannot unsee something you've already seen.
Yeah, it's a gateway to their hearts, and we need to guard our children's heart.
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, listen, teach your children to be helpful. Teach them to be encouraging. And our next letter is going to be respectful. And so what does that look like? So we're going to definitely talk about the self-respect and how to respect in the school, respect at home, respect in the community. And with the community, I'm looking forward to getting law enforcement in, to talk about that respect and continue to build bridges. We know that there's so many other programs, worthwhile programs that are doing amazing, impeccable jobs. But, building bridges not to detour any relationships among the police officers and children, but we want to continue to encourage those relationships, knowing that not all police officers are bad.
Right.
Most of them aren't.
Right.
It's just they have their work cut out, and we have to continue to build those bridges among the law enforcement. So we want them to know why they have to respect the
Sure.
law.
And we even had a volunteer law enforcement officer, a lady, that volunteered to come talk to the children in plainclothes so that they don't feel intimidated, so that they don't have any negative connotations to this particular officer.
Yes, I'm excited about her coming in, Officer Marty. So it's gonna be really cool. The next letter is gonna be on task. So we've got some fun, amazing people that are gonna come out and talk about on task. And if you're a leader out there, someone who wants to partner in, please reach out to us as well. We would love to have you come on and see how we can work together. But these children are going to learn. I told the kids when I was in the school system, because they have cell phones by first grade,
Right.
and these kids know how to work it. They and I'm like, what are y'all doing? Oh, we're gonna just do ABCD, and I'm like, well, since you're gonna ABCD, play with your phone, and all these little gadgets, can you add your alarm? They were like, huh, and I'm like, yes, ma'am. Put your alarm and wake yourself up. If you are old enough and big enough to do that, it is so important to teach children how to rise up, make that little checklist.
Yeah.
Keep them on task just by simply writing their to-dos. Right? And not letting them depend totally on mom and dad.
Right.
Most parents these days, you're either, single parents, or both parents are working.
Yes, long hours. The children typically go straight into aftercare after school, and they get picked up. Everybody's rushing home to eat, do homework, and go to bed with very little quality family time.
Absolutely. So in this program, we talk definitely to parents. It's not just about leadership for children. This is about creating homegrown leaders,
Right.
Victor. This is about creating these bridges among the children and parents and holding parents accountable.
Right.
Because if these children, I tell you what, I was a single mom. Every Sunday, by Thursdays, I had made it a point, and I was a full-time student, and as you know, I was in the military reserves. So I had to, organization and time management was key in order for me to stay productive and ensure that I was on top of my game. And I religiously, every Thursday, laundry was done. And by every Sunday, I enjoyed my weekend. And Sundays, I would just iron, spend an hour worth of ironing for the week. And then from there, I would work with the kids to they had to give me their clothes, right? And so we had everything laid out for the week. The system. We had a system, simple system. And so we want to encourage parents, what is your system? This is leadership for both children, parents, and, just to stay on task.
Right. So parents, if you're listening to us and you would like for Vicky or myself or both, two Vics are better than one, to come out and speak to you at any group, we need a minimum of 10 children to be able to speak, or at a school or any agency where we can get 10 children, we're very happy to come out and speak. Also to parent groups.
It would be a 5-week program.
Yes. I'm saying for speaking.
Oh yeah, for sure, yes. Please give us a call. And also we need, support. We are looking for support if you are an organization out there that can. We are 501c3 with Mission One USA, so all your contributions will be tax exempt.
Right.
So please reach out. Let me give you my cell number, 832-859-3987.
We'll put it in the show notes also. So
yes.
You can click on the show notes and it'll be there.
Absolutely. And in huge favor, we're in this together.
Right.
This program is basically we want our children to, they're the leaders.
Right.
Victor, as you know, my background has been working with every facet that you can think of groups. And whether it's working with veterans, the homeless community.
And you know mine, working with offenders and working in corporate America to do executive coaching. Yeah.
Exactly. Same here. So going into working with offenders, working with abused. It's, you know, as I prayed and I said, where do we go? I just feel totally led and passionate about instilling the values, these hero values, into our children. And I'm so grateful you are just backing me up, running with me, and I can just see you just, oh my goodness, you're like illuminating. You are just shining, and I don't know. I'm like, Victor, is this Victor? I'm like, because sometimes I'm thinking like, wow, he's like this 13-year-old, all excited inside, working with these little children.
I get into it, working with these kids and helping them do some of the assignments, some of the things that you have them do.
And you know what is so cool? I'm so grateful that we get to add our own children into our stories, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We weave stories of our children.
Yeah, we create stories, read to the children, give them scenarios, and I mean, they are just running with it, and they were so excited to see us this week, weren't they?
Yes, they were. They were all excited.
Yes.
It's always exciting to put on this class.
Yes, and we'll be out there this Monday, so
yes.
Exciting.
Is that enough show, Vicki?
I think it's enough. I mean, we want to hear from you. Please listen. Encourage your communities to please listen to our podcast.
Share this with your friends and family.
Absolutely. And reach out to us. We want to hear back. And
call us.
Like Victor says, if we can come out there and share what HERO's doing, or if you are an organization and need to be escalated, that is what we do. We escalate.
That's right. Well, we're going to leave it there, friends. Until next time, go out and escalate.